Today we are going to do a CMA or a pricing analysis for a potential seller client that we've already spoken with. So the seller owns this unit, 155 West 18th Street, number 401. You can very easily see prior photos and information about the property online on sites such as StreetEasy. For example, here I am looking at the previous sale listing. You can very easily find this simply by Googling the address, or even if you're on a site like this, they oftentimes will store public records. So in the search bar, you could type in the client's name, and then you would have found the public search record for this address. Similarly, if you scroll down to this listing, you see listing sold. That is from the broker, which is not a public record. What matters most is actually when you see sale recorded on a site like StreetEasy. This is pulled from public records, and it's much more legitimate than this. This most likely was the last listing price when it was delisted. It's not official, and it's obviously inaccurate. So if you click on this, whenever you see a sale recorded, this is an actual concrete figure, a prior sale figure you can use when doing comps for a seller or a buyer. Here you can see that it sold for this exact figure on this date about a year ago, and then we see the names of the potential seller clients we spoke with. So the sellers have already told us in this case that they would be happy to walk away with close to what they paid for the unit. They have another unexpected child, so that is the reason for moving. They're not looking to make a profit. And this makes our job easier because it makes us, it just simply tells us whether the same price where they purchased it is doable or not. In fact, for this one, they've made our job a bit easier by saying that 3.9 or even 3.95 would be acceptable. So let's see if 3.9, which is approximately 2,000 price per square feet, is doable. So StreetEasy has a fantastic comps generator. You simply go down here and you'll see generate report. If you're logged into your StreetEasy agent account, which you should sign up for, you simply click this button. It is quite easy to use. So for this one, you will have to refine the search a bit. So click refine. This property, if you've looked at it, it's on West 17th Street and I believe 7th Avenue. So according to StreetEasy's boundaries, at least, that is very close to Flatiron, and we happen to know that there will be some properties in Flatiron on the next street over on, for example, 17th Street and a little bit further east that might not get captured if you just hit Chelsea. So we want to be a bit more expansive. Perhaps we put in Flatiron. If you just look at a map and you see a property is dead center in Chelsea, then perhaps you just do Chelsea. So anyway, we will do this. We'll do sale, condos. I like to not be too precise. This is too cute. So you do 0. It is condos, that is important. And then, since this is probably, he's looking to trade in the slightly under 4 mil range, let's just say everything under $5 million. You don't want to go too crazy because there will, once you get into the ultra luxury range, some of the price per square footages don't really even make sense. So you want to keep it within the right range, 0 to 5 mil. You could do, since it's a 3-bed, I believe actually 3 bath, but let's just do at least 2 baths or more. So 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms or more with recorded sales within the last 90 days. You hit generate, and then we've already done this. You get this. I've unchecked the agent profile in the bio. That is just nonsense. And you get this comp report for, it tells you right here, condos between 0 and 5 mil, 3 beds, at least 2 baths. And I've unchecked the recorded sales because it didn't actually pick up in your recorded sales for a variety of reasons. For this case, it is a slightly slower market at the moment, but I suspect it's because a lot of new developments there really do a good job in masking the actual recorded sale price. So they make it purposefully very hard to find, perhaps sometimes by having the recorded sale go under a slightly different address, or somehow that it doesn't get picked up. So in this situation, we will have to rely more on stuff that's actually active or already fully executed, or stuff that's been pulled off the market. Now, keep in mind, stuff that is in contract, you see this figure here, that is not the private contract price. The contract price could be different from the last listing price. It's something that we don't know. It's obviously a private number. And oftentimes the in-contract listing, this figure they have is whatever the last listing price it was before the status was changed to in-contract. So this can be manipulated higher than reality, just keep that in mind. And if you really want to go into detail, you could call or email some of these listing agents and ask for a favor and say you'd be happy to return the favor and ask if they can reveal the actual contract price. Of course, that would be great data if you can obtain that. So before we go any further, you should take a look through the actual listing itself. So this is the seller's property. This is in a new development that was recently done called the Flynn. You can see that it's in stunning condition. The photos look gorgeous. This is a very high-end new development, 3-bed, 3.5 bath, 1951 square feet. So you will need to be cognizant when 3.5 baths actually. So you'll need to be looking for comparable quality. So as you look through this, you know you're looking at a really high-end new development. You'll see that the price per square footages really quite vary. I mean, there are some apparent, this is the dollars per square foot, some apparent bargains here that are closer to 1,000 price per square feet, whereas we are trying to sell near 2,000. Now, the reason for this is many of these are older buildings or resales, so obviously they will not command the same premium as a brand new development. And fortunately for ours, it's only been lived in for about a year or so, so it pretty much counts. But if you look further, you will see some other ones that are closer or even above 2,000 price per square feet. And again, the reason is because these are brand new construction. So fortunately, the seller has actually told us about a new development by Toll Brothers going up on West 17th Street, so we'll keep our ears perked. And let's take a look at this one. This seems to be close to 2,000 price per square feet. It's on the next street over. Let's just start clicking through these. So this one, interesting. If you check out the building, see what the building is. This is exactly the new development that they were referencing by Toll Brothers. It looks like it'll be stunning finishes, and they still have some inventory. They often have more inventory behind. They release a little at a time to not flood the market, but now you see that we have a problem because the seller was hoping to list it at say 3.9 or 3.899. Well, you have competition now because even though they have one full bath less, this is approximately the same size, but it is cheaper. So let's take a look to see how cheaper. Both of these are available. So this one is selling for $19.64 price per square foot. The lower floor is selling for $19.13 price per square foot. That is a significant difference versus ours, which is closer to 2,000 price per square feet. Also, keep in mind, because ours is a resale, the buyer won't have to pay the sponsor's transfer taxes or the sponsor's attorney fees, which is traditionally something the sponsors for new developments ask the buyer to pay. Now that's worth something. The transfer taxes all in New York City and New York State is approximately 1.825% for something in this price range. Attorney fees, sponsor attorney fees might be worth around $3,000. But because the market is softer, you see that this development is also offering a special incentive for the developer to pay the mansion tax, which the buyer traditionally pays, and is 1% of the purchase price, as well as the transfer taxes we talked about. So that advantage actually is negated here, and it is a bit cheaper. You take a look through the finishes, it is obviously very similar and very high end, and the only difference is they do lack one bathroom versus the other one. So this will be a great comp. Let's include it and make sure the seller knows about it. So we've started drafting an email, and you can see that we've put both of these here, the prices, a little bit of info that's relevant about both, and the intra-month offer to pay some of the closing costs. So this is what we'll want to do. You don't need to flood the seller with examples. It's best to include perhaps 2 or 3 of active, 2 or 3 of in contract for this example. And obviously if there are recorded sales, you could use that as well. So let's skip forward a bit. We have now taken a look at a few properties. We've gone through the comparable sales. We've clicked through many of the links that seem relevant. You can actually screen for square footage, so similar square footage if there are too many results. What this is telling you here is that there is an oversupply in the market of condominiums and especially high-end new developments. And you have to be especially careful because a lot of the new developments only release part of the inventory in order to not flood the market, so they have many units behind. So we'll just skip ahead, but what I've done is I've gone through all of these active listings, and I've looked for listings that are close to where our seller's property is, so not too far in the same general neighborhood. And I've also screened for sizes that are close to his. His is around 1951, and also of course to take into account for new developments or recent new developments in a similar situation where the seller is selling perhaps a year after having purchased a brand new development, so closer to 2,000 price per square foot. So I've gone through, and then we've gone ahead and compiled an email, and this is just a sample email, so it's to the seller, pricing thoughts for his unit, and then you write try to be professional, write an email where essentially taking a look, giving him some market color. Obviously this won't vary per unit, but I've also given him a suggestion here where it says I recommend pricing your unit here. And a lot of this will be very subjective, but people like reasons, so you try to give reasons and you factor things in. For example, I say versus unit 904, we'll give him credit for the extra bathroom because he has 3.5 baths, but it is a lower floor, and new developments often have a price differential per floor. In this case, they clearly do. 9th floor versus 5th floor is a $20,000 per floor differential. So people like to hear reasons, but we've taken the fact that he's seen this, and I've highlighted these 3, and I've also attached a PDF of all of the results just for good measure from StreetEasy, so you'll see it. And that's it. So guys, I want to make sure you are able to do this. It's much more straightforward, with tools such as StreetEasy and Report Generator these days. So please definitely give it a shot yourself. Please remember when writing any emails to clients or anyone in fact to always have perfect grammar, spelling, punctuation, the same font sizes. Obviously you want to make sure you have your email signature. So I'll give you an example of mine. This is my email signature. Make sure it's set up as your contact info. And the reason we harp on this is it's so important to give a first impression of professionalism. So this person I've spoken with, but for example, if I were to loop you in, or if it's a seller you haven't actually spoken with, oftentimes email is the first point of contact you'll have and the first impression you're able to give with someone. So you want to make the best impression, because if you can't do that even on the first contact, why would they think you would be any better in any follow-ups? It wouldn't make sense for them to trust a multi-million-dollar property to you if you aren't bothering to spell check your email. So guys, very important, and I'll see you out there.